Hi, everyone, and welcome to Rescripted Podcast, where we could celebrate the great things in life, share about the not so great parts, and find out how we can rewrite those challenges, turn them into insightful moments that will lead us to change, to growth, to happiness, and empowerment, all so that we can live the life we truly want to experience. I am Amy Quiles, your personal development coach. You see, as high achievers, we learn from a very young age that everything is in the results that you can get. So, what you achieve, what you accomplish, how effective you are, how timely you are, all those things have helped you package up what your skill sets are. So, you know how to get certain results and you know how to be effective in it. But all the while, since that all started at such a young age, some of us as early as doing sports, when we're 5 to 6, and some of them just on in when we go into our professional fields and we realize there's work to be done. There's things that need to be accomplished, and there's only so much time that we need to be able to effectively execute this. So what happens? Anything else that isn't this primary project, we push to the side. And one of those things that we push to the side are our own unique desires, our own unique calling, because we are so wrapped up in getting results that we don't realize that there is a separate identity that you behold, and you never really get to tap into that. So what happens? What happens to that identity that you don't get to tap into because you're just so busy living your busy life? Well, this is what I call internal constraint, because you start to get these nudges, these internal nudges that let you know that something's off, something's not right, something's not complete, something's not whole. And all the while we kind of feel those things, and we dig ourselves deeper into these projects or more projects, just trying to find that feeling of fulfillment. But we realize that when we do get joy out of the projects that we complete, it's short-lived, right? In the process, you're exciting. You get that build up to be able to effectively execute this thing that you've been working on for months and sometimes even years. And then it happens, and then all of a sudden, nothing. You feel numb, you feel empty, you feel a void, and you wonder why. You invested so much time into this. Why does it feel empty? Well, the truth is, it's easy to follow directions, right? So it's easy to understand that 1 + 1 = 2. So when you have a roadmap and it's easy to follow, then it's easy to get results. And sometimes that is the road most travel, because there's proof in that road. But sometimes being able to be authentic to you and being sincere to yourself, you have to realize you can't always follow somebody else's blueprint 100%, because where are you in the equation? Where's your unique skill sets that nobody could teach you? It's just embedded in you. And sometimes when we're following a blueprint, whether it's in our community, in our families, or in at work, a blueprint can get you results, but it's not going to always get you the fulfillment. And I know sometimes that's hard to hear, because these things that we do, we enjoy them. We're just not fulfilled by them. And it's because certain aspects we really do enjoy, because some of those aspects does feed certain areas of our individuality, of our personality, of our calling, of our purpose. Some of them are being met. That's why there's a level of satisfaction that you get, but not entirely. Not entirely, because at the end of the day, people, systems, programs, coaching can only take you so far. We can set out a blueprint, but there's a huge, huge component that will always be missing that nobody else can fill. And that is your calling. You see, when you let somebody else lead, there'll always be gaps, right? Because there's things that you feel internally that they won't know. There's areas in your skill sets and in your path that you want to explore that no one's going to know because you're silent about them. Or maybe they have their own vision of the project, of the situation, of the relationship. They have their own vision. And if you're not vocal about yours, and if you're not proactive in exercising that exploration that you need to do, then you'll never get led there, because nobody can lead you there. That is your own individual, unique journey that only you can go on. And there is a way to get guidance on that, and that is with your walk with God. You see, when we get scared to take that leap with God, when we're scared to go all in with God, then there's something that you're really doing that I don't think you realize, because this is not the angle in which you're viewing it, but it is absolutely what is happening. When you continuously follow somebody else's blueprint and you don't take the time to invest in your own, what you're really doing is compromising yourself. When you compromise yourself, that means that you're following somebody else's blueprint. And maybe you're scared. Maybe you're scared to take the leap on your own. Maybe you're scared to trust yourself. But there will come a time to where somebody else's blueprint, somebody else's guidance will only take you so far. And then at one point, you're going to have to take over that baton of your race of life and be able to find the rhythm in it. Because if you don't, you're going to get to a point in your journey that you're going to start getting frustrated by the people around you, by the people on your team, the people, that are supposed to be part of your support system. You'll get frustrated with them because the advice that they're giving you no longer suits you. It's no longer aligned with where you're trying to go. And how would they know if you don't voice it? Because it's your unique path. And what happens? Then you start to get frustrated with them. You get frustrated with yourself. And all of a sudden your mood is changing and you're getting these mood swings and you don't know why. But it's because internally your calling is calling you. So you're kind of at a crossroad where you can't have somebody else guide you anymore because they only took you as far as they can. And now it's time for you to trust yourself. Because let's say you're still not ready to face that. You're still not ready to take the leap, and you're still not ready to feel like you can try to figure this out on your own. There's going to be that cycle that you put yourself on, right? So you're either going to continue to do these things and get these empty results, and it's going to feel empty. I mean, you may feel good momentarily, but ultimately it's not going to have that big grand impact that you thought it would have. And ultimately it's going to make you feel frustrated and empty. So what happens? You keep searching for that like fulfillment high, that joyous high. So you take on another project, or you start another thing, or you take on new hobbies. And before you know it, you start to get burned out because all you're trying to do is feel whole. But if you're doing everything opposite and you're not really listening to yourself, you're not really tapping into your intuition and listen to that internal guidance, well, how can you feel whole? Nobody else can tell you what you're built for but you. We can we can shine a light on the path, but ultimately you're the one who has that intuition that's going to guide you to where we can't, where others can't. We're not coaches, not families, not best friends, not partners. Some parts of the journey you have to do it alone, but you're really not doing it alone. You do it with God. Because to be honest, to be completely and sincere and strip everything down, to be honest, the reason why you're in this perpetual cycle that gets you frustrated, that you feel unfulfilled, is because you haven't learned how to trust yourself. You feel like somebody else has more experience, somebody else has been down this path before, somebody else has gotten results. Let me trust them. Let me follow them. Let me listen to them. And all the while, it can be a great path, but maybe it's opposite to how you learn. Maybe it's opposite to how you operate. So although it can gain great results for somebody else, it may not gain great results for you. And that's where a lot of times people feel like, oh, I'm broken, like things don't work for me, like I have bad luck. And that's not the case at all. It's that success isn't a one size fit all, And I think what ultimately makes us scared is that when you don't know, well, the worst thing you want to do is go at it alone. But the greatest revelation is that you're not alone. You don't walk it alone. You walk it with God. But there is a level of where you have to trust him so that he can guide you. And it's just one foot in front of the other. It doesn't have to be this monumental revelation. It doesn't have to be this monumental change like a light switch. No, when you walk with God, it's intimate, it's gentle, it's intentional, it's purposeful, and it's step by step. Society really gets us excited about having those like instant overnight successes, but you strip all of the lessons out when you do it that way. And then that's when you feel like it doesn't work for you because you're removing what really matters, which is what takes time. Because with God, He's not in a rush. Believe it or not, He is not in a rush. But what He wants it is to be a clear understanding of the process. So that's why it's step by step. He wants a clear understanding of where you're going. So when you work with Him, when you walk with Him, when you co-create with Him, it's in a synchronized manner. So there's nothing that He wants for you more than to understand what needs to change, what needs to evolve, because that's where the revelation is. It's in the process. It's not just in the knowing, it's not just in the information, because if that was true, all of us that go to church, the moment we go into church and we get that information, we get that knowledge, we go out and then we're different. But what happens when we go to church? It feels good, but where we get lost and where we forget is how to apply it, how to be consistent with it, how to be committed to it, because God will always be committed to you. Don't get that twisted. Just because we may fall off doesn't mean He falls off. And what matters to you matters to Him. And whether you ask Him for it, or whether you pray about it, or whether you take it to Him or not, He knows. He knows what's in your heart. He knows what burdens you. He knows what your desires are, and He wants to walk with you because you matter. Everything that concerns you concerns Him. So that's a loving Father, right? So why would He want to give you all of life's lessons all at once? What's the benefit of that? It's a synchronized process with God, intentional, loving, gentle, with order, with structure, with real intention. And when you walk with God that way, you're able to see what your hangups are. You're able to see what triggers you, why it triggers you, and you're able to see the different ways where you have gotten in your own way. And yes, maybe certain circumstances and certain people may have triggered it, but the real important issue is why. And how do you get to a point where you're no longer triggered? Because now you've had revelation, you've had growth, you've had progress, so you've had change. Now, with me saying that, I have to be honest about everything. The problem is, and a lot of you can agree with me, is that once you do start that journey with God, you do start that step by step process, something happens. Something happens that makes you doubt. And it's that when you're all in, sometimes it feels like all starts to fall apart. So we're like, wait a minute, and we're like, no, we worked too hard to build what we've built. We can't let it all fall apart. So we stop and we get back to our safety nets. We get back to our comfort zones and we get back to the rhythm of what was working before. And then what happens? The cycle begins. You start to feel unfulfilled. You start to feel a void. You start to feel frustrated. You start to doubt yourself again. And the cycle starts again because He's not giving up on you. You may have given up on Him. You may have given up on the process, but He has not given up on you. And that internal void, that internal constraint, that's His nudging you, calling you to walk with you. Because there's nothing that He'll take you through that He won't see it through. There's nothing that He would take you through that He won't be there with you. And that's where the clear understanding has to come. If something has to change, if you want to change, things will change. It's not, things can't remain the same. We can't have all the comforts we want and still have monumental growth. There's a change that needs to take place. And once you realize that the moment you stop fighting yourself on that and realize change really comes when you accept that you need to change, then that's when all those feelings of having bad luck and all that stuff goes away, because now you give yourself a fighting chance. Now you start to bet on yourself. Now you start to believe you're in yourself. Even when it's uncomfortable, because I'm not saying it's always going to be comfortable. But what I am saying is it's all worth it. It is all worth it. Now, I can talk about this for days on end without missing a beat. And the reason why is because I was there too for years. For years. I tried to dismiss it because my life wasn't so bad. Until I realized He was serious. He was calling me for something important. and it was time for me to answer. So although I did have to lose things along the way, he made sure to protect what mattered most. And as long as I was faithful to him, he was faithful to his side of the promise. And in that walk, what I realized was no matter what shifted in life, no matter what I lost, no matter what I gained, he was the constant. He was the pillar that never changed, never abandoned, never judged, never shamed, never guilt me. But he was always there, guiding me step by step, lovingly, gently, honestly, and like a good father would. He was always there to show you the proof of progress. And because of that, even in my worst days, even in the most stormiest of days, I still had joy, I still had peace, I still had enlightenment, because I understood the purpose, I understood the calling, and I understood before you're called, you have a responsibility to grow. Understand what that strength is that you have internally that only you have, and understand how to manage it, how to mold into it, and how to be responsible for it. Although I could sit here and give you long lists of productive hacks to do and mindsets and all that stuff, I can give you, and they'll work. But again, they'll work momentarily because that's surface level. What God's calling you to do, what I'm talking about when we talk about internal constraint, that's root work. That's deeper. Those are some of the things, some of the secrets that you've even kept from yourself. And sometimes it's that undigging that will really reveal things. And that's when you'll have longevity in the process of what you do. And you'll have joy even in the hardest days. You'll find purpose in even the most minute things. And if you could believe it, the things that you love, you grow to love them even more. You grow to have even more patience because you understand the root of things. And that's what really makes lasting change. And as a personal development coach, I had to go through this journey myself. I had to go trial and test and see what's really real. In order for me to be effective at what I do, I had to go through the process myself. Because how can I guide you effectively if I don't understand what it really feels like? So trust me, I understand this journey. I understand the doubt. I understand that internal constraint. And I understand when you go on it, it may get messy before it gets great. But it's all beautiful. It's all worth it. It's all intentional. And when you're able to be a witness of your growth, I mean, that's a revelation that no money can buy. Because at that point, you're able to see you as God sees you, but the purpose and the intention in which He created you. That's such a beautiful thing. And that's such a place to be, that you can finally be honorable to you, be honorable to your calling, be honorable to the things that you are in charge of. That's where the real fulfillment comes in. That's where the real joy comes in. And that's what you really want to experience. That's what you've been missing this whole time. Because what you've been doing is tasks. But once you step into your calling, what you're doing is purposeful, intentional. And that's where the beauty lies. And that's where you get to see all these different elements come together, which is just simply the reflection of God. And what you'll discover is that these things energize you. They don't deplete you. The love of God energizes you. The purpose of God, the purpose of your calling, it energizes you. It never depletes you. It never makes you feel burned out. Of course, you may be tired, right? But you feel so invigorated and you feel so proud of the things that you're doing that you just can't wait to do it again and can't wait to do more of it. And you can't wait to introduce other people to God, to know Him the way that you know Him. Because when you're able to see the change that's happened in you, I mean, it's hard to keep a good thing to yourself, right? You got to tell someone. Because I've been there and because I know that although this journey is beautiful, it's not always easy to go on. And sometimes it's even hard to detect. I did create an internal constraint quiz, and you can take that quiz and you can see, because I have broken the internal constraint into 5 different elements, primary elements, the factors that really impact you, your decisions, and how you operate, your mindset, your behavior. So I did kind of boil it down to 5 separate ones. So I do have workbooks for each one, so you could deal with those things individually, or if you do get the bundle of all 5 of them, then you do end up getting one for free, just because there are the 5 primary. So you'll get to see really, when you take the test, the quiz, you really get to see where you stand. Do you really struggle with one more than the other, or do you struggle with a couple of them? And I promise you, it's just going through the workbooks, you're going to be able to peel things back, able to really shine light to the things that matter. So if you're interested in learning what your internal constraints are, you can take the quiz. It is completely free. I'll link it down below. If you're ready to make change, I do invite you to start with the workbooks, because it's great to understand where you stand. A lot of times we think we're further than we are, or we think we're further behind than what we really think we are. And that's not always the case. So it's nice to take the quiz and really understand where you are, see where your primary internal constraints are, because then you know where to start from. But if you are ready for coaching and you really want somebody to walk this with you, someone that's done it before, someone that understands the greatness, the bumps in the roads, the highs, the lows, then I'll be more than happy to take a call with you, and we can really see where you stand and how this program, my coaching program, can really help you. Because if you're tired of feeling burned out, if you're tired of just trying to feel whole, then it's worth it to you to bet on yourself. And you really have to learn that there's no voice that's going to guide you better than your own. And I just want to help you tap into that, because once you have a clear understanding, then that trickles down. Then you have a clear mind, then you have clear actions, then you have clear intentions, and then it just becomes this beautiful journey of blessings or lessons, but there's no losses. So if you want to see where you stand, then you can go ahead and book a call with me, or take the quiz and see if you have more than one internal constraint that you're struggling with right now. And I'll be more than happy to assist you. So God bless you. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. And if you enjoyed this episode and feel like it was insightful, then I ask you to please rate it, like it, and subscribe, and share it with someone you feel will enjoy it. I'll be back here next week, and we will continue to discuss matters regarding personal development. Take care, guys. Have a blessed week, and I'll see you next time.